Now on CoastTV News.
Ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro arrives at the Metropolitan Detention Center. We have the latest on the developing international news. Venezuelans on Delmarva celebrate. One family in Rehoboth Beach says the move changes everything. Stickers commemorating fallen Delaware State Police Trooper Matthew Ty Snook. Cars from across the state now bearing that sticker in his name.
It's a cold Saturday evening across Delmarva with some high clouds, more sunshine, still cold Sunday, but then warming up with 50s next week. Forecast details coming up.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Helicopters arriving in New York after the United States capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Good evening, I'm Emma Aiken. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with the developing news causing both celebration and protest around the globe. Tonight, the plane carrying Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife has arrived in New York. They have been charged with narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and weapons offenses. Earlier, Maduro, known to many as a dictator, was processed and fingerprinted at the Drug Enforcement Administration office in Manhattan. The U.S. military captured the couple during a surprise military attack early this morning. President Trump says the U.S. is now running Venezuela, but has not yet shared specific details of how that will work. As Venezuelans around the world take to the streets to celebrate Maduro's capture, some members of Congress are calling the raid illegal. NBC's Chris Pallone has more.
Tonight, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is in New York in federal custody hours after a surprise early morning U.S. military raid on his compound in Caracas.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela.
The Pentagon says President Trump gave the order to arrest Maduro just before 11 Friday night. Troops from 20 military bases and 150 U.S. aircraft took part in the mission, which saw an elite strike force arrive at Maduro's compound around 1 this morning.
This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years.
The president says with Maduro deposed, the U.S. will run Venezuela indefinitely.
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves.
We're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground, and that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country.
Venezuelans around the world taking to the streets to celebrate the end of Maduro's reign.
Everybody's just happy because everybody has been waiting for democracy and change in Venezuela.
But on Capitol Hill, congressional Democrats and some Republicans are demanding answers from the Trump administration about why they were kept in the dark. Many calling the military mission illegal.
Now they're saying they were going to occupy a foreign country, we're going to run it from the United States, and that we're going to steal their oil. In what world did this administration get any of that permission ever for them to do that?
Secretary of State Marco Rubio said briefing Congress before the attack would have jeopardized the mission to get Maduro. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
Maduro and his wife are expected to make their first appearances in the Manhattan federal courtroom next week. The news of the capture is welcome to some Venezuelans who call Delmarva home. One restaurant owner in Rehoboth Beach, Javier Guillerguan, tells us the capture of President Maduro has been long awaited. Check out this picture of Guillerguan. This is him around the age of 15 before he left Venezuela and moved to America for good. Here's one of him visiting Venezuela later with his daughter. Now Guillerguan has grandkids. You can see his granddaughter there. And he says the capture of what he calls a dictator president like Maduro makes bringing his family to Venezuela, some for the very first time, a real possibility again.
Hopefully now things will start getting into the better system. Everybody's happy right now. It's because this is something that they've been waiting for so long.
Guillerguan says he wouldn't necessarily feel safer going back to Venezuela right at this moment, but says once the dust settles and things are straightened out, he thinks Venezuela will be safer and says he looks forward to seeing family he hasn't been able to see in decades. And there were celebrations across the globe after news spread. You're seeing some images from Miami, Peru, and Colombia, waving flags and cheering, some saying, "Free Venezuela." Not everyone is happy. Anti-war protests are happening across the nation. Here's the scene in San Francisco. It was a similar scene in Boston, and people with no war signs protesting in Portland, too.
We don't need wars in America. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, the money that we're spending on a war with a country that really is not any threat to us, it's just, I can't abide that.
So far, most of Delaware's congressional delegation and senators from Maryland and Virginia have condemned the U.S. military action in Venezuela. Delaware's Congresswoman Sarah McBride saying she fears this will have geopolitical consequences, saying, quote, "I have fidelity to our Constitution, even if I do not have sympathy for Nicolas Maduro." We have a full article with reaction from Delmarva's leaders on this right now on CoastTV.com. And all of this brings us to our Coast TV poll tonight. We want to know, what role should the U.S. play in Venezuela? Let's take a look at the results. So far, 61% of you say help transition only, 37% say stay out, and 2% say run fully. And if you haven't voted yet, you still can at CoastTV.com or on the mobile app. And we're now taking a live look outside into Dover. Our First Alert meteorologist Bob Tryhe joins us now with a look at the weather. Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, Emma. It is another cold winter evening across Delmarva. Everybody at or below freezing now. Long Neck 29, 30 for Millsboro and Georgetown, 30 in Gumboro. Thankfully, no wind, so we're not dealing with any wind chill, but it is cold, and we're looking at some clouds that are mid to high level clouds, a veil of high clouds. We can see that full wolf moon through those clouds. It's really pretty. We are seeing some moisture to the south and east. This is all aloft. Also, a little bit of moisture moving in out of the Great Lakes with some energy there, but that's going to dry up with high pressure over us. We've got some showers to the south and low pressure moving off the southeast coast. So what we'll see overnight are just some high clouds. We'll see some breaks from time to time, and by tomorrow morning, maybe you're heading off to church. We'll see partly cloudy skies and temperatures into the 20s and 30s, and more sunshine heading into your Sunday with temperatures cold in the upper 30s, feeling colder with the wind. But then we've got a nice warm up on the way for next week. Temperatures in the 50s. I'll let you know when that happens coming up in just a little bit.
You are looking at cars lining up in Newark for Back the Blue. At the event, each driver was given a free memorial sticker. Each sticker had the name of Matthew Ty Snook. Snook was the state police trooper killed by a shooter while working overtime at the DMV. Organizers pledged to always remember him.
This event shows how the law enforcement community along with the community can come together as one, can stand side by side, shoulder to shoulder, and unity, and to pay the respect and have this event.
The Blue Line Network says they hope to host another event in Kent or Sussex County in the near future. Trooper Snook will be laid to rest Monday. A celebration of life is at the Bob Carpenter Center at UD in Newark. State police say the service will be live streamed on the DSP YouTube channel starting around noon. The memorial service is expected to start at 1, and police ask drivers to expect delays, including a temporary closure of I-95 southbound near the mall for a law enforcement convoy. In Milton, this land on your screen now could be home to a new Dairy Queen. It's less than an acre of land on Broadkill Road, and in December, the Milton Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously approved this Dairy Queen. Now, Monday night, the Milton Town Council at their meeting could do the same. The council meeting is at 6:30 p.m. The Lewis Planning Commission is recommending approval of a redevelopment project here on 815 Kings Highway. Commissioners unanimously voted to support a plan to convert a former single-family home into a mixed-use building with retail on the first floor and an apartment above. The recommendation includes approval of 2 buffer waivers with the condition that a fence be installed to protect a neighboring property. There will now be a public hearing at the Lewis City Council meeting Monday at 5:30 p.m. And starting this Monday, January 5th, the main beach boardwalk at the McBride Bathhouse in Cape Henlopen State Park will be closed for repairs. That closure is from both the parking lot and the beach sides, but the good news is the beach itself stays open. You can still get there using the north and south main beach access points, along with the Point, Point Comfort, Fort Miles, and Herring Point. And we are just getting started here on Coast TV News at 11. Coming up later, growing your finances. 4 ways you could spend less and save more this year.
It was a cold Saturday, a high of only 33, average high of 46. Our low was 19, the record low of 5 back in 2018. One more really cold day and then a nice warm up heading into next week with temperatures warming into the 50s. Your full forecast coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
But first, from dead snow geese to security solutions. A lot happened this week on the peninsula. We have a recap of your week when we're back in just 60 seconds. From a multi-million-dollar health plan to the new year bringing new laws. There was a lot going on this week here on the coast, and Charlie Sakaitis has a look at our week in review.
Monday, nearly a dozen dead snow geese spotted along Broadkill Beach. There's already been a confirmed case of bird flu earlier this month in Kent County, and for these geese along Broadkill Beach, DENREC says they do not plan on testing them, but they are treating them as if they are positive for bird flu. Tuesday, a district court judge dismissed a lawsuit trying to stop or delay a new medical aid in dying bill in Delaware. As of January 1st, the End-of-Life Option Act is now in effect in the first state. Wednesday, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services awarded all 50 states money under the Rural Health Transformation Program, Delaware receiving $157 million to put towards projects like the first ever medical school in the state, potentially in Sussex County. Thursday, Delmarva rang in the new year and some new laws kicked in as the calendar turned. Delawareans may now file claims under the state's new paid leave program. And Friday, Ellendale continues trying to figure out how to move forward with a plan for more security cameras in town. Ellendale leaders say they now face a March deadline to use the earmarked money or they will lose the money. For your Week in Review, I'm Charlie Sakaitis.
Changes to Rehoboth Beach government operations. What is happening as soon as Monday? And coming up next, Bob Trihey is in the Coast TV First Alert Weather Center. He's expecting another cold day Sunday, then a work week warm-up. He has your full forecast after this.
It's been an icy cold start to 2026 for Delmarva. In fact, really much of the winter's been below average, and today, no exception. We only got up to 33 in Georgetown. We had a lot of clouds out there, 32 in Easton, 34 in Cambridge, Wallops Island at 38. We should be in the mid-40s this time of year. Here's a live look into Salisbury and the Spicer Brothers camp. 30 degrees right now, light winds, and we have some high clouds, and we can see that full wolf moon through those high clouds. Really a spectacular sight as temperatures are falling through the 20s this evening. We're looking at the Gateway Subaru camp along the beaches right now, and heading into Sunday, it will remain cold, but we're going to see more in the way of sunshine. Highs in the 30s, some places squeaking into the low 40s. And then next week we start cold, and then it starts to moderate. In fact, I think we're looking at 50s Wednesday through Friday, maybe an isolated 60-degree reading, and maybe some Friday showers as well. But it is just cold right now. Pretty much everybody below freezing. Ocean City, you're just above at 33, 30 in Gumboro and Millsboro, Georgetown at 30 with 31 in Seaford. The winds are calm, so we're not dealing with any brutal wind chills or anything like that. As we do have this veil of high clouds kind of shrouding that full moon right now, and we have moisture too. A lot of this is aloft in the form of some snow and rain off to the south and east. There's a stronger system across the northern part of the jet stream, across the Great Lakes, and you can see this snow moving in out of New York into Pennsylvania. That's going to dry up before it gets here. We have high pressure in place, and then more moisture to the south with rain across the Outer Banks, low pressure off the southeast coast. These two systems won't phase until they get out to sea, so we're kind of avoiding a big snowstorm here by that. And then high pressure farther back to the west will build in tomorrow into early next week. Here's Futurecast. Overnight still have those high clouds, and we'll be seeing that through the overnight into Sunday morning. 20s and low 30s out the door tomorrow morning as as those clouds will dissipate by noon. Mid to upper 30s and highs only into the upper 30s, I think, for the afternoon hours with a stiff northwesterly wind. As we go into your Sunday night and Monday morning, mostly cloudy, starting out in the 20s and 30s. Then the winds turn to the south, and we're looking at temperatures moderating into the 40s on Monday. Feels like temperatures tomorrow morning in the teens and 20s, and it's going to be cold with that wind as we go right through Monday morning. Then those winds shift to the south and still pretty cold even as we head into Monday. Above normal temperatures, however, January 9th through the 13th. It's been a while since we've seen red on the temperature outlook map, and maybe some showers as we head into Friday. The models are still up in the air and just where this system might set up for the weekend. Some have heavier rain, others don't, but I think a little unsettled with some rain into the weekend. And then along the coast on Sunday, 30s and low 40s from Chincoteague into Dewey Beach. 25 tonight, mostly cloudy and cold. 39 Sunday, more sunshine. Paul Davis 7-day forecast. 51 Tuesday, upper 50s Wednesday, close to 60 Friday with showers, and more showers to start the weekend and a high of 58.
Starting Monday in Rehoboth Beach, city leaders will be able to introduce and vote on topics in the same meeting. Rehoboth's mayor says this won't happen with everything, just simpler topics. Some examples he gave were construction contracts or committee appointments. He says everything that's up for a vote will be listed as such on the agenda. But some folks worry this could limit public opinion on city issues.
Yeah, if they don't, add guidelines like you said, I could see it getting out of hand easily.
Rehoboth Beach leaders say the first meeting with this new format will be on January 5th. Have you made a New Year's resolution yet? How does putting more money in your pocket sound? In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan has tips on growing your finances.
It's a hangover that can't be cured in a day. Holiday debt. And it's a financial headache hanging over millions of Americans after the holidays. A recent survey from LendingTree found 37% of respondents racked up holiday debt, averaging around $1,200.
Among the priorities Americans should have for the new year, pay down highest cost debt.
Mark Hamrick with personal finance site Bankrate says paying off debt is the first thing people should do to reset their finances in 2026. Next, he says take a hard look at your monthly spending.
My personal preference would be that somebody probably doesn't allocate more than a third of their monthly income to those kinds of housing-related expenses.
Hamrick says rising energy costs have made utilities more expensive, so housing costs may eat up more of your budget.
The reality for homeowners is that this is a very volatile price environment.
Hamrick says your household should have an emergency fund of at least $1,000. And here's how you can grow your money in the future. Hamrick says to put more money into a high-yield savings account, which can have an annual return of about 4%. So let's crunch some numbers in this Bankrate calculator. If you put $5,000 into an HYSA with a 4% annual return and you contribute $100 a month, in 10 years, you'll have made more than $5,000 just in interest, growing your account to more than $22,000. Also look into certificates of deposit known as CDs. Those accounts also offer a fixed interest rate. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
The Commerce Department is rolling back proposed steep tariffs, which were set to take effect on over a dozen Italian pasta makers later this year. In October, the Commerce Department announced a 92% tariff on pasta. That is on top of the 15% tariff on most imports from the European Union. The newly announced rates would put the tariffs between 24% and 29% and are set to be announced in March. And it's week 18 of the NFL season. Here's what's coming up on Sunday Night Football right here on CoastTV. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. when the Baltimore Ravens take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then stay tuned for CoastTV News right after the game. Coming up, leveling the playing field. A rental tax change is now underway in Fenwick Island. CoastTV News at 11 returns after this. Delaware State Police say shots fired were here in Magnolia. Troopers responded Friday morning to Whitetail Lane, where shell casings were found in the roadway. Investigators say a dark-colored SUV fired multiple rounds at a home around 2 a.m. Police say no one was hurt and no homes were hit. New rental tax rates are now in place in Fenwick Island. Last year, short-term rentals paid a higher tax percentage overall than the hotels do in town. But starting this year, the town is making a change, and the goal is to even things out. Last year, hotels in Fenwick Island paid a total of 11.5% in taxes, while short-term rentals paid more, coming in at 12.5%. All of that changed starting January 1st. The town is evening out taxes, making hotels and short-term rentals both pay 12%. So whether you're taking in the ocean view from a short-term rental or enjoying your vacation from a hotel, Fenwick Island is making sure everyone shoulders the same tax burden, something one vacationer thinks is fair.
It seems reasonable that they pay the same tax whether they're staying at a hotel or a short-term rental.
According to the mayor of Fenwick Island, this change was driven by the state's new short-term tax rental and the town's desire to keep taxes fair across the board. After the break here on Coast TV News at 11, as we take a live look outside into Ocean City, we have a final check on your forecast. Coast TV News continues in just a few moments. It's time to raise a glass in honor of the invention that helps some people drink. Today is National Drinking Straw Day. The patent for the straw, which made its debut in paper form, was received on January 3rd by Marvin C. Stone. Archaeologists say the very first drinking straws were used by the Sumerians to drink beer. Over the past few years, the single-use plastic straw has drawn criticism due to environmental concerns. Some European governments have followed suit in their attempts to cut down on plastic waste.
Very interesting. Seems like there's a day for everything now. Pretty incredible. We're looking at a cold start tomorrow morning, heading out to church or maybe grabbing breakfast. Temperatures in the 20s. The sunshine returns tomorrow, but it's going to be cold, upper 30s, and with the breeze out of the northwest, feeling like upper 20s and 30s. Call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone. Your forecast is a call away. Sponsored by Brockstead, Mandalis, Federico. Paul Davis 10-day forecast. One more chilly day Monday, 42. Then we get into the 50s. By Wednesday, upper 50s. Some showers by Friday, close to 60. Maybe some rain into next weekend. The models are still kind of up in the air, but 58 showers Saturday. Cooler after that. Maybe a few more showers by Tuesday, Emma, and 42. Not seeing any snowflakes in that 10-day forecast.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. Saturday Night Live starts right now. Have a great night.